What is good? We're back. We have our first rookie mock of the season. And of course, it's way too early, but we know you degenerates want it, so we're going to give it to you. We got our guy Austin over here. How you doing, bud? Been a minute?
Good, man. Happy to be here. How you guys doing?
Good. Excited. We got we're going to do one round of a Superflex tight end premium 24 rookie mock. So going to start to get to know the players and who goes where, and obviously it's way too early, so this is going to keep changing, but make sure you subscribe. We're going to do one of these a month, and then as we get in the off season, of course, we'll do more than one a month, but good way to keep it fresh. Guys you're seeing on Saturdays, you can kind of start placing them in order. We're going to try to place them in a little bit of an order right now. I'm sure it'll change. Some guys will rise, some guys will fall, but last year we had a class of short kings at the receiver position. No more this year. We're back to large human beings who are very athletic and a very diverse quarterback group here. We could get a nice little influx of really fun quarterback play in the NFL out of this class. Running back class looks a little sus right now, as the kids say. So we'll see how that goes and see how that pans out right here in the first round. So I got the first pick. Obviously, it's Caleb Williams. I don't know how much discussion we need to really have here, or why, or who. Everybody's so excited for this guy. I think he comes in. He's immediately in the top, 8 of dynasty quarterbacks right off the rip. I was listening to McShay and Russillo talk about him today, and it was basically like he looks like the glimmers of Patrick Mahomes had at Texas Tech. Like he's got he's got like what Patrick Mahomes has right now in the league, and you just saw glimmers of it with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. You see all kinds of that shit all over the USC tape. So
just the flick of the wrist,
Caleb Williams,
put it anywhere he wants.
Pick number 1, just a ridiculous elite dynasty asset. It almost really doesn't matter what he does year one. He's gonna stay so strong through 2-3 years of being a dynasty asset. And like I said, I think he's already at maybe outside of the top 5 QBs, or 6, maybe 7. You could sneak him in, right at the end of those. Do with 1-1 what you will. It's going to be highly coveted, highly sought after. I think people will be throwing in the towel earlier than usual here because the first 2-3 picks are really, really fun in a Superflex format. So Caleb Williams, 1-1. 1-2, we're going to go Jason next. Who you got?
This was fairly easy for me. I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr.,
the third
wide receiver out of Ohio State. 6'4", 205. Just a monster out there.
Brawl.
He's Marvin Harrison's son. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But
except he's bigger.
Yeah, he's basically like the fucking Kanye song. He's bigger, faster, stronger. All that shit, right? He's like been clocked at 23.5 miles per hour. The metrics right now aren't that great. The Dominator breakout age, it's 60th percentiles basically. But, it doesn't matter. He's basically the Bijan of wide receivers if Bijan's dad was in the Hall of Fame, So you just can't lose with this guy. And maybe you should take a quarterback. Maybe Drake May's who I should have taken here. But right now, in September of 23, we're doing 24 mock. There's no way I can't take Marvin Harrison Jr. after Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, he could have went last year and been a top 5-10 NFL draft pick.
Yeah, had 118 targets in 22, 77 catches, over 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Starting a little slow this year, had an injury scare there, but came back in the game. Should be all right. It doesn't even matter.
You saw apparently what he's worth to that team, going from one playoff game, to the next playoff game for Ohio State, So he's awesome. Marvin Harrison Jr., let's go. Guy was just an absolute beast. Pick 3 here, 103. Austin.
Yeah, I'm going to take Drake Maye. I think you guys nailed the first 2 picks. I would have went them in that exact order. But yeah, the kid from UNC, Drake Maye, a clear Heisman candidate coming into the 2023 season. It's not a surprise considering what he accomplished last season. 45 touchdowns as a freshman, all-time ACC record by a freshman. Third most, by the way, in all of FBS last season. And Maye was the only ACC QB to reach 4,000 passing yards last season. And to give you guys a little context, if he does it again, he'll join Deshaun Watson as the only ACC quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in multiple seasons.
Jameis Winston didn't do that? That's crazy.
Right? That actually did catch me off guard as well. He was one of the names that came to my mind. Also, Drake Maye became the third player in conference history to amass 5,000 total yards, another ACC record. He joined Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. 6'5", 220. I mean, how much better does it get than that, right? Balling out at UNC. He's a clear guy now. Obviously, you had Sam Howell prior to him. And, I watched a really funny interview with Drake Maye. He was talking about his relationship with Sam Howell and just how beneficial it was to have him as a mentor. They talk every week. They're really, really good friends, man. They play golf. And Sam Howell actually just beat Drake Maye for the first time recently. So adjust your dynasty rankings accordingly. I know he did just throw 4 picks, but he beat him in golf. So kind of evens out.
Sure.
But let's talk about some serious stuff. 66.2 completion percentage, 4,321 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That's pretty good, man. That is pretty good as a freshman. And yes, I know he's got 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this season. Who cares? That's really how I look at it. Same with Marvin Harrison, starting a little slow. Who cares, man? It's right. I think nothing of it. Let me just say, you don't put up those numbers on accident as a freshman. I'm a believer in Drake Maye. I've watched enough interviews. I'm just a big fan. He talked NIL. He talked transfer portal and just how wild his life has become over the past year. He's taking everything day by day, and I love the trajectory he's on. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for him at 2 because it's Superflex and it's a quarterback. The only thing that maybe you could argue Maye over Caleb would be he's prototypically the size that you would want in a quarterback over. But I think that ship has mostly sailed. There's probably a few traditionalists left out there in the old guard of NFL people.
Bill Polian,
and evaluators,
the old whites.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think these top 3 are locked in right now. So we'll get a little interesting here with Matthew's pick.
So
did this guy go to Penn State or not?
No, there's no 24. There's no offensive players for Penn State.
Okay, 25 though.
25.
Rip the fucking top off.
Let's go. We're gonna have 3 first round dynasty picks.
Let's go.
First round rookie draft picks in 25. Anyways,
so all your picks get those 25. Matt's definitely looking for that 25 class.
Oh yeah, I've told multiple people I'd rather sell 24 than 25.
We are.
I did something that I don't normally do, and I took Brock Bowers here. So I'm normally fading rookie tight ends, but
just can't help yourself.
Yeah,
it's tight end premium.
Premium,
of course.
So
is it 2 point tight end premium?
I was assuming. I don't care if it's 1.5 or 2. I think the pick is still Brock here. I mean, he's been balling out since his freshman year at Georgia. He's at a top 5 PFF grade every year. He's currently he's always in the top 5 of missed tackles forced. I mean, Georgia has him playing running back sometimes. So I think he's going to be a top 10 draft pick. He's looked so good. I just don't have anything negative to say about Bowers. He's had 2 fumbles this year for the first time in his career. So that's been the negative so far, is that he's had 2 fumbles. But other than that, he's just a stud.
Well, yeah, we've been waiting a while for Bowers. I'm sure some people in the anti-tight end community will not like that pick, but
I'm in that community.
Yeah,
but
you are in that community.
I calls them as I sees them. So
yeah. Brock's awesome. So I can't necessarily argue with that pick.
It was a situation where I felt that, like Austin mentioned, the first 3 picks pretty solidly. I think are pretty solidly in there. I feel like the 4th pick could go a multitude of directions.
Yeah, and he's seemingly going to be a top 10 overall pick. It would seem like. At least that's where a lot of the mocks are kind of having Bowers in somewhere in that range. So, all right. So I'm back up at 5. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, all that jazz.
2 times for your pleasure.
I'm going Penix Jr. here. I know that's probably a little high.
I think it's Penix Jr.
A little early maybe for some people. He's climbing up some ratings in some mock drafts. He's been a guy who's been a little hot and cold. He had a rough start at Indiana, a transfer, multiple ACL injuries. There's maybe some arm strength questions there. He'll be 24 at the combine, so there's no way that this guy can be good.
Old as fuck.
Right. But right now he's the Caesars' best odds heading into week 5 for the Heisman. He's absolutely crushing it right now. He picked up right where he left off from the 2022 season where he led the FBS in pass yards. He's number 1 in pass yards again with 1,630. He's so damn efficient. I feel like this is the nerd's dream, except for he's going to be old at the combine.
Simmons is old!
All this offense does is push it down the field. There's no dinking and dunking in Washington. He has 11.8 yards per attempt, which is number 1, while completing 75% of his passes. So, like, a lot of these guys with these higher completion percentages are these guys who the offense is a little bit more dink and dunk. Hey, we're keeping it all mid to short. His ADOT is 12.4. His yards per attempt are 11.8. Like, everything's going downfield. He's first in touchdowns with 16. And obviously, of course, he has an awesome supporting cast. One of my favorite wide receivers, Rome Odunze.
Sure, we'll go with that. Adunze.
And he also has Polk and Jalen McMillan. So there is a really good cast there. I think Rome is a locked in first round pick right now. They're kind of projecting. And McMillan could be somewhere around in there. I really like Rome a whole lot. Another one of those big, fast humans. But I think Penix's ball placement is fantastic. He drops it in there. He drags them all over your face. But no, for real, there is a little, people question the arm strength a little. Like, people were questioning some Tua arm strength. I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
How's his deep ball placement like Tua, though?
The deep ball placement has been great. Everything I've watched this year and last year, it was really good. I mean, I just basically laid it out. Of course, it's got to be good. I mean, look at the numbers he's putting up. So there are some negatives, and maybe this is a little too high for Penix here. You could have certainly went. Sanders is the hot topic right now. Obviously, a little more explosive with the legs, and can certainly make every throw out there. We've seen it already. How awesome he is on all levels, and certainly playing with lesser supporting cast. I think Penix has only been sacked once. That is a testament to how he operates. But Sanders operating with a lot less of an offensive line and a lot less of a supporting cast. Obviously, Travis Hunter is awesome. These other wide receivers are becoming household names, but they're not on the level of maybe what Washington has right now. So I think you could go another way here. You could go Coleman, maybe you could go Henderson, but I'm going Penix here. I really like Penix, and I just wanted to, we love around here, and I love me some Penix. So
Penix is dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's kind of like Bo Nix, where he was dead to a lot of people.
Oh, no, this is just because of the Indiana Penn State game from 2020.
Okay.
Other than that, no.
Everything goes back to Penn State.
Yeah, of course.
But Penix is kind of, like a phoenix rose from the ashes and is just being reincarnated into, a gunslinger's body here. So
does the ACLs concern you at all?
And not for a quarterback, especially one that doesn't run around.
Double ACLs.
He's definitely mobile.
Yeah, he's mobile enough. So
he's like Jameis Winston mobile.
Sure. But yeah, Penix Jr. coming in at 5 for me. So Jason, you're up.
Yep, I had a pretty tough time with this one. I took all day.
You did. You sat on it for a while.
I did. I knew it should probably have been a quarterback, and I couldn't figure out which one to take. I think getting a ticket to the Shedeur show is probably the way to go. Getting you some Sanders, but I didn't know which quarterback to go with. There's a lot of talk about Bo Nix being an early draft pick. The Michigan quarterback's getting a ton of love from the big pundits.
McCarthy.
And so I was like, let me just see where Shedeur falls. Let me see how these quarterbacks play out. Let me take another safe pick here with Malik Nabers, wide receiver out of LSU. Not one of the gigantic guys. He's only 6 foot, 6'1", depending on where you read, 190 to 200 pounds. But just a really fun player, all around explosive guy. He's pretty fast. He's got burst, and you can see just how explosive he looks on the field. He's very versatile. He's split his snaps between over the course of his career between out wide and in the slot. So I really like that. Hasn't had like a tremendous season up to this point. Did put up 1,000 yards last year, but he's off to a pretty hot start this year. It's actually a little out of control. He's third in yards overall, tied for second in touchdowns. He's averaging 3.74 yards per route run. He's in, let's see, I think it's 4 games. He's got 45 targets, 32 receptions, 523 yards, averaging 16.3 yards per reception, and 5 touchdowns. I mean, he's just balling out, and he can do everything. You know, he can beat you long. He can take the top off, and he can win in contested catches. I think the yak is pretty good. So I'm excited about Malik Nabers, and you're going to get the draft capital too. Like he's mocked top 15, 20 range in everything that I could find.
Sure.
So he's going to have the draft capital you want, good size, good athleticism. I think he's off to a ridiculously productive start. May not have those early numbers that you wanted, but was kind of behind some other good wide receivers at LSU. So I feel safe enough with Malik Nabers, although I probably should have gone quarterback.
All right. Got a little Nabers here. Austin, you're up next with 1-7 here. Did you go quarterback?
I did not, man.
Ooh, spicy.
Quarterback position. 7th overall pick, Emeka Egbuka. I think he's already a superstar, man. The other Ohio State wide receiver, he's a special free catch technician. So he really understands how to get off the line of scrimmage. It's something that you cannot teach to every wide receiver. He separates against man coverage very well already. He can find the space against zone. Just phenomenal acceleration. He stops on a dime. He's elusive. Checks a lot of boxes already, man. 74 receptions, 1,151 yards, 10 touchdowns. So during his sophomore season, Egbuka broke out, and he just showed everybody why he's already a top prospect. He's a top competitor, and he's probably going to be a first-round pick at this point. 6'1", 203 pounds. We love the size. Size was never an issue. He's savvy. He's smart. He's a good player. And he set up Ohio State to beat Notre Dame this past week, right? He makes that play. He's a playmaker. He makes that play, catches that ball, gets tackled at the 1. Ohio State eventually punched it in, I believe, 2 plays later.
Against 10 guys.
They secured the dub, man. Yeah. So there's 2 ways that you can look at this situation. People may say Egbuka would be looked at so differently and appreciated so much more if he wasn't the second option behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Or you can say maybe Egbuka wouldn't be nearly as good if he didn't have the best wide receiver in college football, taking so much attention away and double coverage. You know, maybe Egbuka's numbers wouldn't quite be as good as they are without Marvin Harrison Jr. What do you guys think?
I think that last year, to begin the season out with, Egbuka was the guy who Stroud was going to, even more so than Harrison Jr. But as the season went on, it became very evident that MHJ was the preferred target. But that is no slight on Egbuka. He was still a very productive wide receiver last year for Ohio State as well too. So I think it's the same thing. We've got these guys coming in at Ohio State, these 5 stars that they just keep bringing them in year after year after year, and they're just going to have to coach.
I hate it. It stinks.
Trust
how good their fucking wide receivers are.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're just gonna keep happening at Ohio State. So I'm not gonna knock them for being with other good players. So
they made the analytics people take into context a little bit with the production, because when you're surrounded by that many studs, you got to cut them a little slack in some of these metrics, you know?
Yeah. Like I think next year they have like 2 of the top 5 wide receivers coming in again. I'm just like, how?
Money.
Why wouldn't you though? I mean, if you're putting them out of that clip, that's just kind of how it goes. You keep, the rich.
I mean, I get it. You'd think they'd want to be a big fish rather than maybe a medium fish, but they've shown that
they're all going in the first round.
All be fucking, they're all fucking big.
We're all
fish.
going to the fucking show.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Matt, you're up with 1-8. Who you got here?
I sat on this one for a while. I took Sanders. I'm just gonna take the hype.
Shedeur.
I was deciding between him and another quarterback. He's been fun. He's also been the most sacked quarterback in the entire division of FBS quarterbacks with 23 sacks through 4 games. So, yeah. So
under high duress.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. What was the stat I wanted to give up here?
That was kind of the knock on college. Everybody was unsure of that offensive line coming in. What would it be like?
But they don't have the beef.
He's made the best of it.
She certainly made the best of not a great situation there. I'm pulling up this stat that I saw from Travis May that Sanders is 4th in Power 5 quarterbacks of drive-killing plays per game, which includes sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. So he's got 6 of those per game.
That sounds like a Travis May type stat.
I thought it was interesting because
trying to find some shade to throw somewhere. Well, how many game-winning plays has he made?
Well, but if you look at the reverse of that, the other guys on this list are all guys who are probably going to be drafted on day 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So
do you have arguments for your pick?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think that Sanders is an electric player. He can use his legs. It's very obvious that the arm talent is there.
Sure.
It's sufficient.
When Hunter's out there, he looks damn good. He's actually the top graded. He's the number 3 graded quarterback in FBS. Total offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you.
I just want a ticket to the show.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Got to get a ticket to this fucking show.
He feels like a little less athletic Anthony Richardson, but with a better arm.
Well, everyone's a little less athletic.
Sure.
Yeah, and maybe a little more polished in the throwing category off the rip. But I agree. He can make every throw. The legs are good. The talent around him isn't nearly where it's going to be at some point at Colorado if Deion stays around there. I mean, obviously Travis Hunter is amazing.
Yeah.
Horn's good. Weaver's seemingly good, but came out of nowhere. Like I didn't know anything about Weaver. So playing with a little less and really elevating everybody. That drive at the end of the Colorado State game was amazing.
Yeah.
He just put up a really, really good performance here. I mean, they got boat raced by Oregon. They were outmanned, outgunned on in about every which way you could be. And you could say, well, they were out Travis Hunter. Well, Travis Hunter ain't worth,
no.
They just got points.
They just got boat raced in the trenches.
Yeah. So I think Sanders could end up being a little higher because he's probably going to go out there and put up big numbers. The USC game won't be like the Oregon game. USC's defense isn't nearly where Oregon's team is, complete wise. So I think he'll put up some good stats and there'll be eyeballs on him all year like we've seen. So he's going to get a lot of attention. You want to take it to the show. So yeah, I don't see any problem with this, and I think he may end up a little higher. So.
I'll be very interested. I'm very interested to watch that game this week because it is a 9 a.m. local kick.
Interesting. Travis Hunter said he wants to come back, but Deion said no way. All right, I'm up with 1-9. I had, the same kind of decisions I was making up at that 5 area. Sanders is obviously gone. Egbuka's gone. Nabers is gone now. So I'm back to, Coleman, who I think is an absolute stud. I like Rome. Rome's really good. Henderson could have been my first running back off the board here, but I stuck with the quarterbacks and I went with Ewers, Quinn Ewers, Texas, obviously Ohio State transfer.
I don't even think that should even count.
It shouldn't.
He only went to Ohio State to get the NIL money.
It really shouldn't count necessarily, but it did count because he can get drafted this year. 5-star and was one of the top prospects from that class.
The top prospect.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you look, was pretty much 1 or 2. So I went with the top, one of the top prospects. But really, this year we saw a big maturation of Quinn Ewers, and I think that's super important of what the story of him is. He grew up, he muscled up, and he demulleted, and it's really shown. He looks great.
Missed the mullet though.
But I mean, how many great quarterbacks have a mullet?
He could have been the first.
Yeah. Was great against Bama in Bama, and you could say, hey, maybe it's not the same old Bama. Well, that Bama defense that we saw this second half at Ole Miss this week showed you how many players they have at a bunch of different levels.
And he was playing them real well last year as well. Too.
Yeah, they were in that game until he got.
They were winning that game. They were winning that game until he got injured.
Right, and I thought he made outstanding plays with outstanding ball placement when they needed him in that Alabama game.
Yeah,
huge for him. They've got a little bit more of a backloaded schedule, but it's kind of why they could certainly win out. I believe they have Kansas this week.
Yeah, then they play Oklahoma the next week.
So then they struggled against Wyoming in that game after the Bama game. Understandable. But then they hung 21 in the fourth and got out of there. And then they absolutely beat the brakes off Baylor last week. 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's got a pretty, obviously it's Texas and they're doing what they do. And they got Xavier Worthy, who's going to be maybe fringe first round, second round pick. And Jatavian Sanders, tight end, maybe could end up being the number 2 tight end in this class by year's end. I think he might be even leading this team in receptions or yards, or really close if he isn't. But every time they needed a big play, Sanders was there in that Bama game. He was really impressive. So again, a good supporting cast around him, but Ewers has shown me he's taking step forwards. He's got the pedigree. He showed you exactly what all the hype was about. And I really like kind of where Texas is and what they're going to do kind of moving forward. And I think Ewers will for sure get the draft capital that people want. He'll be somewhere in the first round as long as everything stays, kind of on par with where we're at.
He's starting over Arch.
Right. And I don't think there's again, maybe he could come back, but Arch, I don't think there's any way Archie sits for 2 years, or Arch sits for 2 years. So if Ewers comes back, I think he would have to transfer. So we shall see. But Ewers is my 1-9 here. So Jason, you are up next.
Yeah, I really wanted to take a running back here. I was pretty close to taking a couple different players after looking into them. I think there's 3 running backs in the mix here with Braelon and Benson, and then Henderson.
What about your boy Shipley?
I mean, I do love Shipley. I don't think he's quite in the same class. He's a little small, and I think he's a great receiver.
Racist.
He's small is just a fact. That's small sees no color.
Blake Corum. Let's go.
I didn't know which running back to take, so I went with another safe
with the
pick.
biggest one.
I went with another safe pick, and I went Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State. 6'4", 215, just a monster.
Dog. He's a dog.
I don't know if you knew he played basketball.
Yeah,
that's
just for a minute.
Pretty much all I need to say.
Just for a minute. At Michigan State, though. Not Florida.
Yeah, I hate that he went to Michigan State for 2 years and then transferred to Florida State. I'm really upset with Keon Coleman because he just destroyed Clemson single-handedly.
Keon Coleman doing the reverse Kenneth Walker this year.
Good call. Just a monster, just a red zone threat. I think he's got pretty solid speed. There's a chance he could run sub 4.5, but I think that's plenty good. Very fluid looking out there. Body control is amazing.
Dog.
Red zone target, got some yak. He's explosive and fluid and a handful. And he's come up. The production isn't necessarily there, so I'm curious to see how he plays out with the analytical crowd. The draft capital will absolutely be there. He's mock top, 15 to 20 and everything I saw as well. He came up big this year in the biggest games, right? He balled out week 1 against LSU, had 11 targets, 9 catches, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game. Is coming out party for Florida State. And then took a couple weeks off, didn't do too much, and then boom, Clemson, another 5 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the nail in the coffin at the end. He had the game-winning touchdown. And we did okay with him most of the game. He did have 2 touchdowns. One of them was just a ridiculous play call with the scheme. It was like a fake pick, and then he just oopty-dooped the dude and was wide open, and then had another big game where we just dropped. It was a busted coverage. But then when the game was on the line and he threw it up and Travis put it in a great spot, and there was nothing that any defender could do against a man with that size and that speed and that body control. Game over. Yeah. So I think he's pretty safe, and I'm down to take him, even though I hate him and he stinks.
Yeah, I like the pick.
Fuck Florida State. Go Tigers.
All right, 111.
Oh, that's the worst. I heard that someone said that we didn't let the Florida. Oh, I was talking to a Florida State fan, and he was like, Clemson didn't let the Florida State band come. And I was like, good for us. I fucking hate that band. There's all game long with this fucking Seminole wave, and it's just like.
It's called a tomahawk chop.
Ugh. Get rid of it.
All right, 111. Austin, back to you.
Yeah, man. I just want to say Jason sniped me at the 10th overall pick, Keon Coleman. I thought that was a really good pick.
Nice. Maybe you can sell it better than I did.
But I was thrilled at 11 overall to land Braelon Allen. Man, talk about RBU. Just another Wisconsin stud running back. Jonathan Taylor, Melvin Gordon, James White. I didn't even realize James White was there.
Oh, sure.
Monty Ball, and now Braelon Allen. So we're talking 6'2", 238 pounds. Good luck tackling him. Jason called him a hoss the other day, and I just think that's the best way to describe him, right? I think he nailed it. Monster.
With good hands, too, man.
Yeah, monster. Right out of the gate as a freshman, dominating the Big Ten Conference right away. 186 attempts as a freshman, 1,268 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. To do that at like the age of 18, it's like, dude, the kid is special. His sophomore season, 230 attempts, 1,242 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns. He just proved again and again that he's still the guy, that he's the man, and he's on pace for another absurd season. Career high 7.1 yards per carry through 3 games. What's not to like about Braelon Allen? His acceleration for his size, I'm infatuated with. The style of running, just the defense knows it's going to be a long day when they see Braelon Allen coming at him. Fellas, I love Braelon Allen. I'm just going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it simple.
Hey,
get him at 11th overall feels awesome, man. It feels like a value.
Yeah. No thought for Henderson there for the first RBF award?
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. He was the next player that I was going to draft. It's close. I don't know what it is, man. You guys know I love size matters, man. I love my measurables. I look at Braelon Allen, I'm like, that's my dude. He's
probably better in the passing game than Henderson too, right?
Dude, yeah, absolutely.
That would be what separates it for me. I mean, Henderson's big enough, right? He's like 215.
Yeah, he's like
5'10", big enough. He's got
had some injuries.
Big medium-sized dogs have to eat too.
Banged up.
That freshman Henderson was
very good.
Top notch. Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's round this thing out. Who you got at 112, Mr. Matthew?
So I took the other guy who decided between at 108 because nobody else took him, and that's Bo.
You don't know Bo?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Left for dead there for a minute, but
I mean, he was
now he's like a top 5 pick.
I don't know about a top 5 pick, but
he could be a round 1 pick.
Yeah,
definitely
I think
around 1 pick. I think,
especially because Oregon's ascending. He's just kind of, like I said with Penix, just kind of revived the career. Man, he was so bad.
Yeah, well,
early,
I think he was a product of how bad Auburn was. I mean, but the thing with Nix is we've seen him. He's shown
keeps getting better.
Yep, his completion percentage has gone up year over year. His passing, his PFF grade has gone up year over year. So we're seeing someone mature with age, and he's been playing great. That stat I mentioned earlier with turnover, the drive killing plays, Bo Nix has a 1 per game. So, and that includes, like I said, sacks, interceptions, fumbles. So
right. Good supporting cast, probably some easier decision making. Also been, again, around a while.
He's a fifth year.
It's okay. Like some guys just take. I know we live in an age where we want it now and right away, and everything's got to be. You have to. If you're not the best immediately, there's no way you can be good. It's just not true. Quarterback's a position. If you're Caleb Williams, great, but some guys aren't Caleb Williams. There's only a few of those guys, and every year we look around the state of quarterbacking. And we're like, what's going on? We could use somebody else. So, I'm never going to begrudge somebody for maybe taking a minute. Maybe you weren't in the right system with the right coaching. You were a little immature. Yeah. He was a take off and use his legs and rely on them a lot, at first. And it seems like he uses them a lot more intelligently now. And the passing game is much more refined. He's accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over a ton.
Definitely a sneaky athlete.
Yeah, no, really good.
Last year, 519 yards rushing, so 14 touchdowns.
He can give you those big body kind of runs too from the quarterback. Where if you need that tough yard, he'd get it for you.
He had an 80-yard run last year.
You don't know, Bo. So that's gonna wrap up the way too early 2024 rookie mock. What was your guys' biggest disagreement here? What Austin? Who was your least? Who would you swap out here?
So this is tight end premium, and I do love Brock Bowers. This is the first one that I can justify it. Like I was cool with it.
But you hate it.
Dude, I guess I feel like Brock should be going like 5 or 6. This is Superflex as well. Again, Brock Bowers, man, he looks like I don't want to use the word generational talent. Like I understand we just saw Kyle Pitts be the all-time GOAT in college, and then it's like 2 years later, all of a sudden we got another one. It's like
he is open out there.
But I guess that one stuck out to me. But I was okay with it, man. Like this was just a very vanilla draft. Like all in all, this was like pretty close to consensus. Like I think everybody did a solid job.
Anybody else got anything that sticks out that you would swap out?
A couple of my picks weren't great, but
I mean, I think they're all around in who should be in the first round. You could.
It's not the order of the mock that's important. And you go first. You got any issues with any of these individual picks?
I just don't know how I feel about Sanders. I feel like I was just
you blew that one.
I didn't blow it.
I think he could be higher.
I want to take it to the show.
I think
I definitely could have
yeah.
taken him. I think the moral of the story is just to get familiar with these guys. Now you know a better list. We went a little deeper into the second round with some of the guys that we definitely could have taken. Right there's the two more running backs at least.
Yeah, you got Corum and Sanders from Arkansas and Henderson from Ohio State.
And Benson from Florida State. I was literally considering him too because he was really crushing Clemson as well and is like has all the measurables and everything you want and made a ridiculous play on a wheel route, caught a back shoulder fade, contorted his body, great looking hands. Like I was like, that was the running back who's like a monster too. I was like, this is not fair. Like he might be the best running back in college right now. I don't know, but my point is it's pretty. It looks like deep and fun and. There's several more. There's a bunch more wide receivers. There's a Texas wide receiver, the Washington wide receiver. I'm sure I'm missing some other guys, but these are just players to put on your list. Pay attention to them moving forward. And
JJ McCarthy is rising up the boards. I don't really see it with him. I need to see a little bit more. He just doesn't seem like a huge difference maker to me right now. Whereas some of those other guys we talked about, I felt like are
can't stretch the field.
He's getting mocked in the first round.
He is. I looked at two mocks and he was at 7th and 8th.
Getting the love. Michigan's good. So he didn't make ours. The other Florida State guy, Wilson.
Oh, Wilson Jr. Yeah, he's
Talk
even
about
taller
6'7".
Yeah, 235 or something ridiculous. He was a hoss too, man.
Donovan Edwards, Corum, the two Michigan running backs. Riley Leonard, who just also beat Clemson. He seems like he's going to be a late first round ish pick potentially. Great athletic upside there. And as if Duke stays good, he could certainly climb up the charts a little bit. Shipley, we mentioned him.
I think he slides into the second round for sure.
I think Rome could have easily been in this top 12 and maybe should somehow. I think he's awesome. He's pretty big, real fast.
Had that big punt return touchdown.
Yeah, against Cal this last week. Xavier Leggett from South Carolina looks awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Another one of those big guys. Xavier Worthy, like we mentioned, and Jatavion Sanders could be the second tight end potentially in this class. So a bunch of other guys to kind of be on the lookout for that maybe could have been in here.
One of the guys that I like was from the game I was watching on Saturday was the Notre Dame running back, the Aldrich Estime, and I ended up looking him up, and he's been the top graded. He's PFF's top graded overall running back.
Is Jaden Daniels draft eligible this year?
Yes, I think he has to come out now.
So,
what was your least favorite pick of the draft, Case?
I don't know that I really necessarily had one. Maybe Penix was too high. I don't know. Maybe my own. I could slot.
Nobody had an issue with Nabers there?
Not really. I mean, I think that's pretty chalk. I think it's
also pick your favorite flavor there as well too.
Yeah.
Cookies and cream.
I didn't have a whole lot of problems with you people in this draft. So, all right, well, let's get out of here. Let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Austin, where can we find you at?
Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, man. At Austin Abbott FF. I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you guys. It's been fun. I love talking 2024 draft class. Anytime you guys want to talk about the draft class, I'm down, man.
Well, we're going to at least do this once a month, like we said. So be sure to like, subscribe. I'm sure you'll see Austin again on the channel on multiple other videos. Maybe we'll see you. I think we got Austin on Monday. We got re-ranking the 24 or the 23 class coming next week. We're going to do top 24 of those guys. Then we got dynasty rankings, risers, fallers, in our actual rankings who are going to change. I know we do that a little bit each week, but we're going to give you a little bit of a rundown of a consensus of those in the coming weeks. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Got KJ, got Austin, we got Matt. Big D's on a bit of a hiatus, but he'll be back soon. So we appreciate you guys. And we'll see you soon.
Peace.